So I have some, like I said, some great questions kind of about your background.
Sure.
And we can leave this a little bit open in the process. These are not, right, I want to leave this a little bit unscripted. If we get a chance, the fourth mic, we can deliver that around to somebody that asks a question. So if you have a question, just raise your hand, let us get a mic over to you so that we can hear it. Otherwise, it won't pick up on the video we're doing.
Sharon hustles to get the mic.
I gave him that as a surprise. He didn't know that. So CrowdCompass.
Yeah.
First thing, I'd love to know kind of the genesis of it, because this is you working inside of the event thing, doing it out of your apartment.
Sure.
But maybe you kind of give the backstory of where that came from.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, opportunistic. So similar to like the AI stuff that's happening now, back then it was mobile, right? And I was lucky enough, kind of fell into mobile before the iPhone, which is hard to imagine. So I was doing mobile technology.
Mobile on Nokia's.
Yeah, I was doing mobile technology since 2000.
Wow.
And so I had a whole background in that and doing it in the industrial space. And so, because they were the early adopters, because they could afford it and the ROI made sense and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the iPhone came out, I immediately quit my job. And it coincided with moving here. And so, yeah, just again, like opportunistic. And then it's a weird, wonky story. Like, I was sitting at Bumbershoot in Seattle, and I was like, oh, this should be digital. And it's like, this is going to be so easy. Well, I mean, we all know that that's not like
the dev tools must be complete.
Things are not that easy, but yeah, I went through the whole cycle. Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Anyway,
That's
that's the origin story.
When you came down here, I'm trying to think, was that around the time Amber Case was doing a bunch with Geoloki and stuff like that?
All of it, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
did you guys collaborate at all?
What's that?
Obviously the same time.
But there was a whole bunch of stuff happening here. I mean, it was all the social stuff. It was that intersection of like mobile and social and everything.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And the early stages of that, bootstrapped, you're not looking, the venture
Correct.
scene here is pretty lean at all.
Correct.
So you chose to bootstrap that.
Yeah, we got that off the ground, got customers, did the whole hustle thing, raised a little bit of money, and then pretty quickly after that, we had inbound from Cvent to acquire us. We said no, and then they came back and said, we're really going to acquire somebody in this space. We want it to be you. And that kicked off that whole process. So that was, because there weren't, I mean, again, another kind of lesson learned or interesting fact is that there were not a lot of companies in our space, right? Like the event space is pretty small as far as like technology. I mean, it's a big space, like lots of money at play and things like that, but there weren't that many potential acquirers really when you get down to it. And so we knew that if we kind of missed that train, we'd be hosed, which definitely played out.
It proved out.
Played out for the people.
It collapsed pretty quick.
Yeah, like if you look at one of our biggest competitors, they raised I think like $90 million, and they eventually got bought for like pennies on the dollar by Cvent 8 years later or something.
Wow. Distressed asset.
10 years later. I mean, success.
Yeah. Right. And the main functionality of CrowdCompass was.
Yeah, we were like a content management platform for the event experience. So it was on mobile. Gave organizers pretty tactical, but like gave organizers the ability to put all that content right and communicate to their attendees, which is commonplace now for events, but it totally didn't exist.
Right.
You know, that kind of in-event experience where you're like matchmaking and the maps and all of the talks and building out your schedule and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gamifying it now.
Yeah.
Some of those.
Yeah,
apps
we
are
did
really...
that. Yep, we did that too. Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that was all the beginning of that stuff.
So then you jumped on with Cvent for a while.
What's that?
Did you jump on with Cvent for a while?
Yeah. So I was there for 3 years. Yeah. So went public with Cvent. So we were at 25 million ARR, and then, it was like definitely rocket ship because we were now hooked. We were a small company of like 25, hooked up to a company of over 2,000. Right, with full industry reach, like they were the industry leaders. So it was really interesting. Immediately plugged into a large sales team large marketing team, and total rocket fuel, like the best outcome. We kept our brand. We ran it as a separate line of business. And then so just like rocket ship kind of stuff. And their plan was to go public. So a year post acquisition, we did the whole New York Stock Exchange thing, and company went public, and so that was a big deal. More rocket ship stuff, and and great investors involved in that. It was like Insight and NEA and all that involved in Cvent at that point too. Those founders are like world class, just absolute world class. So getting a seat at that table and taking off with that was really fun. And challenging. It had its scale and growth as a completely different set of challenges, and then I left. So I mean, stupid, but I mean stupid in the sense that I went and started another company, which is hard, but I like the 0 to 1 stuff.
Well,
too.
that's what I was going to ask. What was the timing, right? What was the timing of you leaving Cvent and jumping into Notion?
Yeah, I mean, they wanted us to stay. They wanted the founders to stay, and me in particular, and so there was like basically earnout, like time-based earnout and stuff like that, and kind of shortly after that, I was just really itchy to get back to like high velocity learning, you know what I mean, like challenges and learning and stuff like that. That's what's interesting for me. That's definitely what a startup provides.
Some part the incentives become less and less attractive.
Yeah,
right?
it's like money.
Right.
Money is like not. I don't do it for money. It's for the experience, and once you hit that baseline of like you're comfortable or everything's fine, right? It's sort of like it's just how can I learn faster and get more experiences and things like that. And building teams is really interesting to me. So like building teams and going through the whole like journey stuff, rather than sustain mode or extraction mode, right? So that's why I did it all over again. Yeah.
Did you have the idea for Notion at that time, or?
Yeah, I mean, you could see in the business. I mean, again, opportunistic. Like you could see. So as an analytics product, you could see how hard existing like BI tools were, like Tableau, and like mining data at that point was tricky. There's obviously no AI. It's just the average person had access to data, but like didn't know how to manipulate it, and it wasn't accessible. And so we try to find our way with like a completely innovative next gen tool that allowed people to really like execute and manage with their data.
So when you make that mental pivot, do you see a problem and go, oh, that looks like way more interesting, I think I'll just go do that instead? Versus I'm going to leave and then I'll just go figure out what problem I'm going to solve
it
next.
was very much like I had like a passionate idea about like executing on that. And then we were told, I mean, it's like, we were told that like data products are hard and they're like expensive and blah, 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 which was all true. But
they just start making it more and more attractive.
It's
a really, really big, hard problem, Dave.
Which,
like really, lots of people have tried and they're failing.
So obviously the ego thing and being dumb. So but it's So anyway, they were right. It's hard.
Fine line between dumb and tenacious.
So
I think that's interesting, because part of the reason that I brought up that quit thing too is that tension that we always see inside of founders, where they're driven to do something. The market isn't really telling them no. Sometimes it actually is.
Sure.
Right? Or people or advisors are telling them no, or something else.
This wasn't market, this was advisors,
And you can't always explain it. There's this intangible. And then we tell founders, you got to have grit. You got to have tenacity. You got to,
which is
suffer
true.
through the nose.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing, look, it's the thing. If you talk to VCs, especially VCs that have been founders, right? Like they don't have beginner's mind. They see failure. They see failure every single minute of every single day.
Right.
And they could never do it themselves because all they see is failure. They know all the reasons. They do not have beginner's mind at all. Right. So it does take an element of naivete and beginner's mind to execute. But again, you know, it's a razor's edge thin line of pursuing something too long or being too stupid, but also staying in the game long enough to be successful. Because it's like what I do some advising, like of startups or whatever. Not much, but mostly dev tech startups through VC out of San Francisco. But it's like the thing that I always tell people is like you have to stay in the game. Like, but most people don't understand that it's just like longevity breeds success, right? Like if you, like no matter what, you have to stay in the game long enough to be successful. And most people don't, right? It's the common problems with like founder relationships implode or fundamentally like running out of money, right? is often a hard stop. So but if you can, no matter what, if you can stay in the game, I fundamentally believe like most people are smart enough to figure it out.
But are they, I mean, that tenacity to me, like I've seen the same thing, you know, you've got people who are focused on the financial result. Hey, I want to be a billionaire. There's lots of easier ways to become a billionaire, right? But there's this sort of like, but really motivated founders have this sort of macro OCD that the universe isn't right. And they see it, and they see it in a way that most people don't. And they really want to make it right. And so all the rest of the mechanics are enabling them to be able to go pursue that until it's right. Or fail, die trying, right?
And you should be that. If you are not that founder, if you're doing it for sort of to make a lot of money or because everybody else is doing it or some other like reason, that's not your cause. Go do something else.
One of the things I put in normally is I talk about this continuum of a startup, right? That it's idea, concept, commit, validate, scale, and establish. I like it. You're really, until you commit, when you've signed contracts and paperwork and everything's like actually real, that's when you're really getting started. And
kind of.
Mental.
I think founders are mentally committed from day zero.
100%. That's why they're on there.
Yeah.
But at that point that you cross it, is when you're starting to commit time, commit money, commit everything else, right? You're getting legal.
This should be eyes wide open. Like you should know.
That's right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm a big like first principles. Like you will make less mistakes if you break everything down and think through it logically. Do not copy what the industry is doing. Do not copy what other people are doing. Like you can take it on, you need to take it on board as advice, like as data points, but half the stuff that's done is like absolutely rote bullshit, dumb stuff, right?
So the perfect 12 slide pitch deck is...
all of it. All, like you can rattle off all that stuff. But like an example is, are like the typical founder agreements or the typical like org docs, right? When you're starting off, people agonize about this stuff, but they do like the 4-year vesting, 1-year cliff. Like you're probably all kind of familiar with that. Like the standard doc structure of like setting up the organization. Look, you're not going to be exited or successful in 4 years. Like if you're not in it, I mean, you might be, but that's like an outlier. Like, why are you not? Why are these docs? Why do they not reflect reality? Why do they not set you up for success? This is just some weird.
Because no one wants to admit it might be a 10 or 15-year journey.
But this is like the weird baseline that like that the whole industry follows, and it makes zero sense. So after my first company, all of our docs have been, look, like buckle up. This is a 10-year thing. You know, and so the docs are like 10 years, and it's not a 1-year cliff, because like I've had friends with other businesses that they hit like that 4th, 5th year, and they're like just hitting their stride, and now like their partners are jettisoning out of the business because they're fully vested, and you're screwed. Like you're like, what? So just like there's less friction if expectations are set properly.
Maybe
anyway, so.
I think there might be some LLCs and early stuff inside of here, and so maybe just reset exactly what a cliff is, what the vesting is, and different
like the industry standard is, the people organizing the organization, are fully vested, like they have 100% of their equity not 100% of the equity, but of their equity of whatever the arrangement is after 4 years. And you get 25% after a year. 25% after a year. So like, let's say you've got 2 founders or 3 founders and it's split 50-50 or a third with like a pool for employees or whatever. Like 25% means you have 25% of your total all-time equity after a year, right? You're not gonna get shit done in a year. Like, I mean, you're gonna make some progress, but like there's like a journey, right? Yeah. And so it's like you need to buckle up for like the long-term journey.
The founders didn't write those agreements. VCs wrote those agreements to tranche people.
Yeah, but everybody, that's what they follow.
Yeah, of course, because it's easy.
But it's also like, look, from a VC perspective, it's not advantageous either.
No.
They did it because they thought that would attract people, and then people it's just commonplace. Like, well, that's what you do. That's what everybody's doing. That's what the standard docs are. It makes no sense. Right. So like, it's just an example.
If you want that fully vested equity, then you need to work harder to get an exit in 4 years.
Like, you need to like rewind, like kind of all of that thinking and take a look at that stuff without being paralyzed by it, but and take a look at it and be like, what, this doesn't really make that sense. That make that much sense, and then we need to set expectations, right?
Especially if you're solving bigger problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was. That's where I was.
If you're going to create a startup of AI geniuses, and your intent is to get acquired by OpenAI or Anthropic in 18 months, get the best people. Go work on some corner case that they're not touching, and they'll just scoop you up. That's not the same as there's a disruption in the universe.
But honestly, even then, because all these agreements have accelerators in them.
Right.
And so, like from a like founder standpoint, you're going to be okay anyway. Yeah. Like if you have the accelerators that you need.
Right.
So there's no risk, right? Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis had a question. I'm going to sneak one in right before we get him the mic.
Yeah.
Forgot it. I'm going to wait.
Hi. So you say that the 4-year vesting period, that's kind of standard. And then if you decide you're in for the long haul and you draw up a corporation and the vesting is 8 years, what do typical investors say about that, since the standard is 4 years?
They'll do whatever you tell them.
Okay.
They don't really care. If you can motivate your team to stick together, you just make the case. Like they don't want like the CTO to jettison at year 4 or 5.
Right.
And so you just tell them, this makes no sense. We've all agreed to this. We're in it for the long haul. That's what they want to hear.
Unless the board agrees that they need to go, and then that's a whole different motion.
You've got that problem no matter what.
Yeah.
So and at year 1, you're not going to know that you want to jettison somebody at year 4, right?
So I think let's maybe this conversation for this audience and this market.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say it's a very VC heavy. We don't have a whole lot of VC activity in the area.
Yeah.
What we get is a lot of angels.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, experience with angels when you're just starting out.
Sure.
They have a very different perspective. Like, do the terms matter as much in that realm, or they're just getting on the journey because they trust you and they trust your judgment on the problem? And
it's definitely that, right? It's a lot of this. From a organization and execution standpoint, I think it's a lot of this similar dynamics, right? I don't think they'll over-index on like what's usual and customary, as long as you can make the case and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And which is a good signal, and it's a bad signal if someone just wants to follow something blindly, right? Like you want to work with people that you can communicate with, set expectations with, and they get it. If you have like unreasonable demands and they don't make any sense, like, whatever, like valuation or all that stuff, like don't be a jerk about that stuff. Like you're not going to get anywhere being like hardlined with that. But if you bring good first principles thinking, break the problem down, it makes sense to you, you can articulate that case. This is what's going to motivate the team. This is setting expectations for the long haul success. This is why I think it's going to be successful. Like that, that's a good conversation, right?
I think that's really interesting too, because I think, to your point, there's people sitting here, investor versus bootstrap, and there's this mythical, I need the right angel who believes in me, and all these other kinds of things, right? But I think it's so common. I hear founders come in from a point of lack, that says, I can't do this if I don't get money, versus a strategic decision. I've got something and I need money because I need to execute quickly because there's market timing or something else.
Yeah, I'm not a execute quickly person anymore.
No.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I'm not. You've got a lot more time than you think you have.
Got it.
Yeah, if you think about, what I've learned is, I mean, we were definitely a run faster business in the mobile space. It was like taking off the way like AI is taking off kind of thing. And it was definitely like execute as fast as possible, which is not a bad thing. But the reality is you have way more time than you think you have.
Is that because execution doesn't equal adoption?
Yeah. I mean, execution doesn't equal adoption. You've got like, there's obviously early movers and people come in the middle and then people come in late, I mean, so there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of ways to be successful. And so it just, my takeaway is you've got a lot more time than you think you do. And so buckle down and like really focus on go to market and getting customers. And from that, like, traction is everything, right? That whole thing. And that's real, right?
Yeah. We were talking about that, right? You've got a technical point of view, right?
Yeah.
And so what you can build in a weekend, what you can build in a week, or you can build in something, right? There's this tendency to say, that's got to go, that's it, that's what we need, we're done. You have really started focusing and being a huge advocate of go to market and product market fit, and really kind of understanding, the organic growth of just talking to humans, not the technology side.
Yeah, go to market is, I mean, even more so now, obviously with AI enabled everything, but it's like go to market is everything. It always has been. And there's like an interesting, what I find is there's really this interesting tension or gap where angels, VCs, like whatever, the investing side of things do not focus on or care about go to market. Like they want traction signal. They want you to have customers and be successful. That matters a lot.
Yeah.
They will not look at your marketing plan. They will not review any of that stuff. They will not dig into how you plan to acquire customers or anything like that. Not really. And because they don't know either. And they're not really well versed at any of that either. They will focus on like your sales org, like the tactical stuff, because some people might have come from like a sales background, but almost nobody comes from the marketing side of things. And it's a real gap, and it's a risk to all of you, because you have to tell two stories. You have to tell the investment story to get the money, right? We're going to build this amazing product. It's going to change the world. It's going to do whatever, XYZ. Really, I mean, obviously everybody wants to make money. You have to, from a first principle standpoint, you have to really fundamentally understand no one actually cares about your product. Okay. Like the investors act like they care about your product, and you can definitely get affinity. Like if you're talking to an angel and they're from the industry, like they get it, they understand it, but okay, they want to make money. And they want to make the most money with the least amount of risk. That's it. That's the entire game.
Yeah.
The most money with the least amount of risk.
Right.
And so everybody that says they're like founder friendly and they're like their thesis is this, and they're all like basically like lying or obfuscating, like that stuff.
Well, it's also, I would say it's not a knock too, right? You're willing to put in, as a founder, you're willing to put in your time, blood, sweat, tears, all your passion to build something else out. And they're willing to put their money in. They're using their money as their leverage, right? You're putting your time in.
But they're not necessarily lying, but what they're not intimating is we've made a conscious decision to take this pool of money and direct it into this vertical, and we believe that getting in early is going to increase our multiples on return.
Yeah, they're lying when then a returning founder does something completely orthogonal to that, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to go over here."
That's
right? So they say like, "We invest in developer technology." Well, there's this thing over here that's like,
and they're like, "Oh, excellent job! Let's pivot."
Like, I'm going to build out childcare centers or what? It's like, because we're going to make the most money. I mean, like, they do. So none of it is rational. Like, what people say, you take it as a data point. Not necessarily true. So don't take in this business, take nothing at face value, right? There's a lot of facades and squishy stuff,
Yeah.
right? I mean, people aren't like deliberately lying, but they're also not truthfully consistent.
Right.
So,
No, I have this
Well put.
conversation all the time with people. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm more blunt. VCs don't give a shit about what you're building.
Right.
no, they don't.
They will
care.
tell you they do.
Yeah.
All they really care about is if you found something
Sure.
that you can make them a lot of money really fast.
Yeah.
So when you're going through your pitch and you're
Yeah.
going through the problem that you found and how you're going to solve it.
And even fast, like, again, like for me, it really just boils down to make a lot of money, lowest risk. Fast is actually reducing the risk.
Right.
They don't actually care about fast, like, but it's a proxy for
because
reducing
they've got
risk.
enough bets in the
Yeah,
pipeline.
it's like it's a proxy for
Yeah.
reducing risk.
Yeah.
And so again, your entire conversation, if you're like I got on the money side, is make a lot of money, reduce risk, right?
Yeah.
Which actually translates into go-to-market and sales conversation, right?
Right.
Because your customers want to make instead of make a lot of money, your customers want to solve a problem and reduce risk in making a choice.
Right.
Right. So it's a similar, there's like a different side of that for your customers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know. I want to come back to something too, because Notion was built on data and analytics and about letting people see visibility of evidence. And then you've got this real kind of focus on go-to-market as well.
Yeah.
And I think I see a lot of founders get stuck, right? Is that they become a one-trick pony. They say the same thing again and again and again. They're not able to kind of step outside of their lane, whether it's a data side or whether it's new viewpoints or whether it's whatever. And so I find a lot of founders come in with ideas that aren't big enough, or they don't have a strategy to attack them, and they're not paying attention to evidence as they're getting into market.
I don't know. I'm also not a not big enough kind of person. I think like, you know, everything, if you can stay in the game, everything is big enough. Like, if you can stay in the game, like let's say you want to sell a pen, some AI enabled pen or something really small, right? Like one, I mean,
somebody's going to steal that.
There's so many, I mean, look in SaaS software, there's so many single feature products that came up, became successful, got adoption, earned the right to become bigger products, right? That if you said, oh, you know, like the TAM on landing pages is too small, or well, you know, it's like
I don't
total
think
addressable market or something.
I don't know that I was chasing market size as much as the difficulty in a small idea inside of a larger market is that it can't get enough breathing space. It can't get enough traction. It can't get enough. And so that becomes a different challenge that you're fighting.
I think you have to look one step beyond your small thing and really analyze, like, how small is the audience and how is there anything adjacent to that? Because like people do things that they're passionate about, and like niches are good to start off with, and finding that niche, and there's a lot of success in that. Like if you look at all the like online influencers and all this stuff, like stuff is like super niche down, right? Like Dungeons and Dragons players that play on Tuesday that wear purple. I mean, it's like
no offense.
You get it's like you get like
no purple.
You get like really like niche down.
Yeah,
which is good because you can focus and there's an audience, and a lot of these niches turned out to be like pretty large, right?
Yeah.
And so if you look around in the world and you see that, so it's and then what are the adjacencies, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can attract that audience, and you can either expand that audience or expand
land
your
and
offering.
Expand type of.
It's like there's two sides, right?
Once you're a trusted partner,
exactly,
go into that market.
Exactly. You can either expand the audience because there's natural adjacencies,
right?
Or you expand your offerings, or both, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not actually. It's too small kind of thing.
No, I appreciate that. I think, like I said, I think at some point there's banging your head against a wall, and you're not paying attention to things, and I think the common one that I've seen is that they're just very founders can become myopic about this is all I do, and they don't have that view of. Sure. So, I love that.
Yeah. There's a question in the back, I think.
Oh,
Do you want mic attack?
Is actually about your bootstrapping efforts in your earlier days. Like, what did you think was the most effective? And if you were to apply bootstrapping today, what do you think would be the most effective way?
Wow. I mean, you have to run leanly, right? And if you're going to work, if you build out a team, the team has to be lean. You have to you just have to figure out how to do. You either have to figure out how to do everything as a solopreneur, or build out a small team that does many, many, many things, and you have to do it very, very cheaply, which is its own kind of creative endeavor, right? I mean, look at this place, right? It's like props, man.
Thanks.
And
we're living it, walking the
walk.
Walking the walk.
So you do whatever it takes, right? But the thing that you can do to tip the scales basically in your favor is, again, like the audience component. That really is like the net of the thing is, how can you attract prospective customers and do it sooner than ever? Like here's the thing that's like the conversation I was talking about, where it's like there's one conversation for money, raising money or not raising money, right? And one thing that you actually like, what you actually do. I would, if I had like an accelerator or like an incubator kind of thing, whatever, I would what people get wrong with those things, like I would have it all focused on the same thing, so that the audience, not necessarily the same products, but like the audience,
same challenge they're
would be
tackling.
the same.
Right. Oh,
that,
yeah.
Get leverage on the audience, so that all of your companies in the portfolio talk to the same audience, so you could get leverage out of the portfolio. And then nobody would fund this. But nobody would fund the piece where I'm just saying, it's like what I would actually do if I was starting again would be, if you raised money, you would not hire engineers or do product or whatever. You would literally go hire 5 freaking marketers and then build audience. Like whatever, like newsletter, media, like videos, media talks like this, whatever. You just build audience. And then if you can build and attract an audience of the people that are in your thesis, as far as like who have a problem that you want to solve, step 1 honestly is not solve the problem and build the product, which I obviously have been guilty of. Step 1 is actually like attract that audience, because guess what? The fastest, like the cheapest way to fail is screw up in attracting the audience. It's not build the product and then figure out, oh shit, like we can't attract the audience, because that's where the nature of the pivot comes from. Right. It's like you built something, you thought you could attract an audience, that audience didn't show up, but this audience showed up. And that's the pivot, right? That's the successful pivot.
Right.
It's like, oh, look, suddenly all these other people showed up, right? And it's like, and they want this thing. And it's like a thing that's different than the other thing, right?
So basically, if I go back to your original like motivation of seeing a need, you're basically saying go validate the need and generate the demand for the solution. Yeah. And then just go fulfill it.
But not just like the Steve Blank, like have a few conversations and call it good, right? And sort of an onward you go, building your thing. It's like, no, like acquire the audience.
Yeah. Well, that was Casper's
with essentially like traditional marketing.
Yeah.
Like, can you get them to convert to anything of value, right? Because they won't buy your often, like if it's a complex product, right? And you have to build the product first to sell it to them. They're not going to convert, like go through the marketing stuff anyway. Like if you could start the marketing, if you could like take the funds of whatever the funds are, right? Even zero funds, and go market first to that audience, prove to me that you can acquire that audience and get them to convert to anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why all these social influencers are like
unconference idea,
right?
It is.
Set yourself up as a thought leader, so that you're driving the conversation and and you're getting more and more people in the room. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, they're gonna buy what you're building, because you're building to satisfy this audience you've built.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point, right? Because the go-to-market that you've talked about, right? You talk about the sales effort. You talk about the interview thing, right? Casper, I think it was Casper Mattress, right, that put up the pre-order. Like they had never made the mattress. They just built it and said, we'll just take pre-orders. And then they're like, nope, sorry, we're not filling those. They didn't take any money for it or whatever they did. But that was an experiment to find out, right? It was an experiment without a product versus.
Sounds like every Kickstarter I've ever backed.
Well, there's that too.
A couple of them I actually got the product.
Sure.
Yeah,
but if you think about like Kickstarter, and even more now than ever, Kickstarter is not just a landing page with a promise of a product or whatever. Right. There's a campaign behind it. And the reality now is everything's already successful before they even do it. They use it as amplification.
And it used to be like $500 to start a Kickstarter. And now if you don't have a $50,000 budget for the marketing, you're dead in the water. Yeah. Don't even bother starting.
All those, I mean, again, that's where there's, the facade of truth to this stuff, like what's promised and the reality, AngelList was like that back in the day, where AngelList, which was like a VC, and Product Hunt. Like these marketplaces start off with truly like, I think, altruistic sort of like, we want to help people and do this thing, but then it gets mutated into there's so much noise. They don't scale, right? Like there's so much noise. You've got to be already successful. There are campaigns behind this stuff. Anyway, do the campaign first. Like like, but unfortunately we're probably all here with products or things that, but the thing is you can take away, put more effort into that. Than the alternative.
Yeah, right? It doesn't have to be binary. Yeah. It can be shift your focus.
Right.
Go talk to as many people as you can. Build that audience.
But if you wanted to be biased towards success, you would only do the marketing piece.
Yeah. Well, I think there's this tendency for people that are making products to love their product.
Of course.
To love on it. And it's like
what's easier.
That's where we spend our time because it makes us feel right. It connects the right neurons.
But again, it's not just the founder pathos. It is literally everything that you're told by the industry over and over and over again. VC's like, I want to see the demo, or I want to see what product you're building. They're not going to fund you, and you're like, I'm going to put together a 5-person marketing team, 0 engineers, and I'm going to spend $200,000 like going to market before we even have it. They will freak out. Like that is that is not a conversation you could actually have. But if you raise the money or was 0 money and you go do that and you are successful, they're like, holy shit, they're really successful, right?
Yeah.
John Maroney told me about an ad tech accelerator in England. And this was before he was ever at OIF and everything else. And they had about 50 companies that came in and were kind of the advisory board. You would apply in with your tech. Each one of them would not only vet them, do due diligence and everything else, but they would also say, we're going to be your first customer. So you come into the program, you come out of it, and you got 50 agencies that are ready to kind of work on your tech. Yeah. And so it's exactly what you're doing. I think you're right. There is that, the gravity to bringing the market with you inside of early stage.
Yeah. It is interesting that people just fundamentally, again, from a first principle standpoint, if you thought about this, if you took a moment, like while you're showering in the morning, you're like, how am I going to be successful? Oh, I need people to sell to, right? It's like, that's.
But there's a quiet confidence that you're a technical founder. So you can cross back and go build the thing once you realize what it is that audience that you've built. I've met a lot of people who are from the marketing domain that come up with the great idea, can build an audience, and then couldn't build a product if you put a gun to their head. And so then they fall into the trap of, now I need to attract a technical co-founder, and I got to sell them on the concept, and they got to buy in. Maybe they can, maybe they can't.
Man, it's still a lot easier if you're like, man, I've got 200,000 people on my list. I think we should build a product.
Well, I think this is why so many people are going.
That's an easier conversation. Yeah. Like that's versus I think I can get a lot of people. Yeah. Let's work together.
Right.
You're like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I think, and the thing is, right, one of the books, All in Startup, I talk about all the time. All in Startup it's a fictional book, and it basically says it's cart before the horse. They use this analogy of a founder who finds an advisor at the World Series of Poker and blah, 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 blah. But fundamentally, it just says, look, cart before the horse. You didn't figure out, you're not listening to what people really want.
Yeah.
Right? So you're just making the case for
that's a whole,
want.
That's a whole different thing. I mean, when you go do discovery, you know, like to talk about your product, to talk about your idea, your service, you're solving a problem for somebody. Like you're going to that audience. So many times founders like bias that conversation, and they really need to just talk about that problem and basically like get feedback, right? There's a real framework and kind of art to this. Too many times, and even at like as you scale out the company and the company's bigger and everybody's more specialized, you know, hundreds of people or whatever, tens of people, things get more distanced away from the customer and what they care about, and in keeping that grounded and having unbiased conversations is really the way to do it. Yeah,
I want to dig into that because I hear it all the time. We talk to people about it all the time. Is we've got this tension to sell,
sure,
right? And so founders, when you ask them to have that conversation, they don't have any skills or any background or any perspective on. Somebody says something that would infer that their product didn't do this or the market didn't do this, and they're pat with the answer. They've got the answer. And so they fill the gap, and that's a sales message. They're pushing a sales message of, oh no, what you just said actually isn't true. It's actually like this. It's not an organic discovery of looking at somebody and figuring out what the problem is and then understanding it better instead of trying to push in their solution.
Yeah.
I think that's really common. I see that a lot.
Yeah, it's just, again, from a first principle standpoint, if you break it down, your conversations, like, are you overly biasing the conversation, right? With anything. I mean, it could be feature-based. Like if you have an existing product and you want feedback on an existing feature, you have to unpack that and rewind that back to like the problem. You know, customer A, like, tell me about this challenge that you're having around X, right? That can be down at the feature level. That can be up at the more macro, like, should I build a solution level? And then you want to hear, it is like the voice of the customer. You want to hear their thoughts about that problem, right? And where that is kind of on their list. And that's how we think about sales, right? Like the sales is not, you know, a lot of founders think like sales is convincing somebody of something. You're not convincing anybody of anything, right? It simply comes down to triggering them, meaning you're going to remind them of the pain they already have, and then you're going to insert your solution and give them what I call the easy button to take like, you know, everybody's got like a mental list, like even in our daily lives, right? Like, okay, I got this, I got this to do, 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 and you can only do one thing at a time, right? So it's like, you've got this list, you've got this mental list. If I can take the 10th thing on your list and trigger you, like that 10th thing on your list, and I give you the easy button, so like low friction, whatever that is, like low cost, like low friction to action, right? That bumps that up to number 1 and you get it off your list. And it's like, that's sales. Right. That's it. That I just gave you the secret code to the entire universe right there. That's it. That's the whole thing. Yeah. Repeat that.
Okay, session's over. Everybody go.
Yeah, it's good. Like literally the thing.
And you talk about it as well. I think you've heard it said it a bunch of different times. You could be handing out gold bricks on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And people are like, no.
You remember me saying that? Or did I write that down and you cut that out?
No, I got Claude. My producer Claude.
His AI brain.
It is seriously.
But I do remember you doing
It's the gold bricks thing. Yeah, it's the gold bricks thing.
Absolutely.
Like founders are literally standing on the corner handing out gold bricks, and people do not care.
Yep.
They do not care.
Yeah.
I'm too busy. That's too heavy. That looks really heavy.
What do I do with that? How do I cash that in?
I can't take that. There's too much friction. I'm going to the grocery store. Like, I can't hold that.
I can't carry that.
Yeah, no, I can't carry that. Yeah. That's
what.
But founders are out there all day handing out gold bricks in the corner. I don't understand the ROI. Look at my calculator. I'll save you so much money. Like, people don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Find the audience. Yeah. But we got questions. Let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked a lot about marketing side of things, and clearly Content Camel is to that end of things. Sales is a key emphasis for you. When you talk about this kind of early phase, like, great, would be wonderful to be able to hire 5 fully competent senior marketers to build that out.
Sure.
But even if you have 0 budget, you should be able to do that, was something I think you said more or less earlier.
Yeah.
Putting yourself in that position where you're trying to split your time between delivery for the few clients that you've been able to already acquire and making sure that product is functional to the point that they have a good experience, and then don't do the reverse of word of mouth, degrowth instead of growth. How do you balance that? How do you identify what tools to use, what agencies to work with when you are trying to balance that? I mean, just speaking from a personal perspective, decent at sales, have never run a marketing campaign to save my life earlier. Building those fundamentals, I think, would be something that I would be greatly interested to hear more about.
Yeah.
You
So
become functionally schizophrenic.
yeah, I mean, it's you break it down to your allocation of time and resources. Like, what are the outcomes that you need at this stage in the journey, right? At this stage in your organization, people usually have, like, there's the whole acquisition, activation, retention, referral, revenue, like those kind of pirate metrics. Like, where are you? Do you need to acquire more customers? Do you need to work on retention of customers? Is it activation of customers? So you need to sort of weight those efforts. We used to do this from a product management standpoint, and this is how I actually managed up in a larger organization, because the I was running our product line, very, very high level executives would kind of change all the time, like their focus, right? And it was a real headache.
Or the actual person would change.
Yeah, that too, which also changes everything, right?
Right.
So it's like, that was a real headache. So, but even when you're solo, kind of doing the thing, if you coming up with a strategy of, 60, 20, 20 or whatever, right? Like, the acknowledgement that you have to do multiple things across the life cycle. It's not 100% acquisition, or maybe it is, but you're probably going to be peanut buttered because you have existing customers. And so there's like, but where are you going to allocate the efforts, and to just try to hold yourself accountable to that, right? And then we do this exercise. I do this exercise where it's like, you come up, it's kind of like the bullseye thing from, but yeah, where you come up with a plan based on what you think is going to be the most successful.
Oh, that's out of traction.
Yeah, it's out of traction. Like right. A little bit of a guesstimate, like a little bit of a guesstimate, right? But what I like to do is what we did on the what we used to do on the product side is like separate that out into dimensions of like benefit cost, right? Like, what are your benefit dimensions, right? And what are your like kind of cost dimensions on this grid of exercise? So if you say like, I'm going to run billboard ads or whatever, like, because I think I can, I can reach my audience with billboard ads. Then like, what are the benefits? Like, okay, the reach is the largest, right? Like, reach is large, sustainment of like value is low in the billboard case. And then, then you have like the cost categories, and like, how do you break up the cost? Cost is usually like physical hard dollar amounts, and then effort, right? Because some things are, and so you want to basically come up with your strategic or this is the strategy, the tactical line items. Like, I think we can run outbound. I think we can do, organic inbound, or I think we can sponsor newsletters, or there's all of the things you can enumerate, and then be honest and like score them based on your benefit vectors and your cost vectors, like your benefit dimensions and cost dimensions, score them in isolation. So it kind of keeps you honest, and then rank those and bubble them up. Does that make sense?
You make a great point, and I think I'm seeing so many people that are solo founders right now, and I think there's a tension that happens between either honesty of the facts, or the fact that you wake up every morning and get to rewrite the book. You get
nobody's going to tell you what to do.
Right? Nobody's
going to tell you what to do. You got to figure it all out.
Every single day you wake up and it's like, well, that wasn't working. And you don't know the difference between stick with this and longevity, or keep going, and how to gauge market evidence, or something like that. I'm seeing that be more of a problem. I know you're advising some companies. I don't know whether they're solo founders or small teams, but does that become something you're seeing more of?
I mean, it's always hard. I mean, I think with the industry, unfortunately, like what the industry tells you, what is held as like common knowledge and stuff is like, you're going to A/B test stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to get this like definitive data.
Right.
Look, the reality is you're not going to get definitive data. Even at scale, you're not going to get definitive data. Like your A/B tests are bullshit. Like you have an N of
from the guy that made the data platform.
like an N of,
right.
exactly.
Just
Yeah,
know
exactly.
that-
Yeah, exactly. Like N of 100, N of 50, N of, it's just not enough. Like it's
Yeah.
and it's going to be mixed, and it's really hard to do attribution, and it's really a lot of it is subjective, right? But honestly, like I'm in the camp of like, look, like more is more.
Right.
More is more. Like the more you do, the more success you will have. Like the more go to market, like the more marketing you do. Like if you subjectively think it's working, like it's probably working, and do more of it. Do as much, it's like, it is a scale up thing. Do as, but again, that's predicated on the fact that you ran through and did rational stuff. Like you ran through cost benefit analysis, strategy, and you basically, what you did made sense versus like
evidence
like you woke up one morning and you're like, we're going to do outbound, right? Okay. I mean, because that's a trap. Like
Right.
just trying to follow what other people are doing
Right.
because you think you should be doing it.
The latest vlog you saw.
That is definitely a trap.
I keep thinking about the billboards on 101 as you're driving north into San Francisco.
Sure. Yeah.
And I always look at the tech companies that are
Sure.
up there going,
Sure.
have you really exhausted every other marketing vehicle that you had?
Sure.
And now you're putting billboards on the 101 to catch people
Sure.
commuting into the
But it
city.
may not be a bad idea,
But
honestly, because it's like it may
They're
not
selling
be
a
that
fly.
expensive.
Yeah,
It may not be that expensive.
in the grand
Like, it may,
scheme, and they're like, hey,
yes.
this is how we're going to catch people
Yeah.
with that 5 minutes of
Yeah,
attention.
And if that's the audience, like
Yep.
if you think it clearly is that audience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Bill Huseby was founder of Sigma Design. I knew them when they were a small group of 13. And from that day, he was like, I know that I want to have one of those Duratrans transparencies at the airport for Sigma Design.
Yeah.
I know that's what I want.
Sure.
Well, there's 300 people now, so
Sure.
obviously did some things right.
Sure.
But yeah.
Hi, as you just think about building that audience and the challenge of that in a world of AI and just the noise that's out there, what are your thoughts on keys to successfully building that today?
I mean, maybe it's gonna sound trite, like be authentic.
I'm sorry.
Like be authentic. Like be real. Like what the hell? I mean, just again, break it down into so many people on like the go-to-market side. I fundamentally do not understand it. They just, and I mean teams at scale as well as like solo individuals lose sight of the fact that it's an actual person that you are communicating with. Like one person, right? One person. You're communicating with one person on the other side of that interaction. One person looking at the billboard, one person at the airport. People are not sitting around in conference rooms like watching ads like, like groupthink around like an ad experience. Like it is one person that you need to reach and trigger at that like moment. And so like from an empathy standpoint, right? What does that look like? My inbox is like absolutely obliterated with bullshit AI SDR outreach. And it's like, what? My mind is blown. It's like you wouldn't walk up on the street or at a conference or something and just start lying to somebody, right? Like I looked at your LinkedIn and you blah, 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 you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? What? It makes no sense in the universe. Like you wouldn't start a conversation like that in real life. Why are you sending me this email? Right?
Or worse, now I'm getting these texts.
Oh, and phones. Yeah, I
the
get
texts, and I
well,
have
the
to
texts
literally
are weird phishing stuff.
Well,
like that's
and
weird.
it's AI now.
Yeah,
it's all
no,
agents.
it's all.
So
like,
it's not even a person sending me a message
yeah,
anymore, or some form.
Yeah.
It's literally this
No, it's
agent who intimates that they
insane.
know
It's
me, and I'm like, "Is this
insane.
are you an
It's
AI agent?"
It's insane. So, but it's like all of those people miss the message.
Yeah.
That is the most inauthentic, low grade crap. Like forever, right? I mean, it's just and it's been pervasive And I mean, again, like even with teams at scale, right? The marketing, working with large marketing teams, they would like talk in like third person in our marketing materials to the audience that we're like focused on, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, like these people are in that industry, right? Like if it's like you're selling medical device stuff, right? Like you don't say, well, medical device developers or medical device practitioners. No, it's like you have this problem because you're communicating to one person. You're not like talking about them in third person. Like the marketing team is not them, but they have to channel that audience of one. It's one at a time.
So is there somebody that stands out in your mind that has done this well? Can you think of an example?
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
even in your own world, like, have you gotten a message recently where you're like, finally, somebody gets it?
I mean, some of the outreach that's like really brief, where they don't screw up because they're just like focused on the problem, is not terrible.
Yeah,
it's not great, but it's like not terrible. I mean, again, people completely lose their minds over this stuff where they think like personalization is going to be successful. Like if you strip away like zero personalization, my thesis is like zero personalization, 100% on the problem, and like what I said about like triggering the pain points. Like if you got the audience right, trigger the pain points, introduce a low friction solution, that's like 1,000 times better than some crazy stuff. And you can use AI. Like the interesting thing is like if you can use AI intelligently, like we were doing it internally, like but you have to think through it, right? You have to think through it, and it opens up a whole expanse of ways of doing more of what you should be doing. You should, more of that one-on-one personal communication, more of making it relevant to their situation, more of triggering that problem, more of introducing the low friction option and whatever it is, so but you got to think through it.
Yeah. I have a marketing background, advertising background, right? So I've gone back even some of the instructions that I've done. Bill Bernbach was an amazing ad guy, David Ogilvy, right? The tone of the conversation was very pure and different at the time of those things.
Sure.
And then coming back to the fact that, yes, I am speaking to people one-on-one, right?
Yes.
So you can craft some of that stuff and bake it into what you're doing.
Yep.
You're not pushing back against AI and the usage of it. You're talking about discernment, though, instead of, oh, look, I got 15 email written, my campaign was written in an hour because I said, write me an email campaign.
Yeah.
Without any of that pre-work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are getting trapped in.
Yeah. The way to do the AI stuff, especially that we're finding, is you have to, we talk about internally as microflows, like you have to break everything down into the most discrete components, the way you would run the regular like human workflows, but really introspect like how you run those human workflows, break it all the way down to what I call bedrock, and then build up from there. And then you can get great output from like the AI stuff, right? Like the frontier models. I don't know. That's what we're doing internally. I could talk a lot about that, but that's
Good.
No, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
To bring it back to our host Dave's message on quitting and exiting the things that don't work. So you've moved on from a number of places through acquisition, probably also not acquisition. Curious if you've ever been in a place of burnout and trying to figure out, am I just burnt out? Or is this the right time to move on from a project?
Sure.
And like, let's say it's, as a business, it's working.
Sure.
But you're like, okay, is this my time? Like I can take my network and all the skills that I've built. Should I like kind of pack this up and move on from it? Or just keep rolling?
I think if you're thinking about that, the answer is probably like, yes, you're burned out.
for sure burnt out.
Yeah.
And it's also a thing that kind of comes in waves.
Yeah, I get that
but
too.
like when you've made that choice, how have you, or do you have a story or an example with any of your experiences where it was a really hard call, and like what made it clear for you?
I mean, wow, that's a really interesting question. I think you just have to get to the core of like what interests you and what's motivating to you, what motivates you and how do you want to spend your time. And so, yeah, and then just kind of, I guess, go from there. Like leaving organizations was really around like not learning, not being pushed, not, and also being in a place where it's like I'm in like a sustainable, comfortable place sort of thing. So you have the flexibility to make those decisions. Obviously, it's a privilege to be able to be flexible, right? I guess, or you make your own flexibility. You architect an environment of flexibility. So I think, yeah. So you sort of have to go back to like what it is you want to accomplish, or what it is that's important, right? I don't know. I guess that's really vague. Yeah. I mean, so concrete examples, like moving on, there were a bunch of people, like there were, I don't know, like 150 of us at CrowdCompass, like in that line of business. I built out a big fancy office. Like I did the whole thing, right? Multiple offices, but the final one downtown was like, over $1 million build out, and like, blah, blah. It was cool. It was exactly what I wanted to do at that point, with the team and the collaboration space and the focus and all that stuff. Built out a team, at Notion Data when I moved on from there, and did that whole thing again because I like team building, whatever. Starting, and then it was at Jama. Again, had a team, and we did the private equity thing and all that stuff. That was interesting. Doing it all over again, I wanted to optimize for flexibility. Like I had a kid, like I've got a kid, and it didn't, like I knew that if I built out an office, like raised money, built out a team, built out an office, like with that kind of thing, I would have to go to that office. And it's like, I don't want to do that. Like I do, this was before COVID. I was like, I want to optimize for flexibility. Like I don't want to have to show up in an office at 8 a.m. or whatever and leave at 6 or whatever. I want like max flexibility. So how can I architect that environment, right? And so that was like more important to me to do it that way, right? So yeah.
I was going to say, maybe it's interesting to think of too, right? Most of these, I'm imagining for most of you, it's a side hustle that you're doing, right? You've got a day job currently, right? At what point was this, any of your companies, always foot on the gas, right? You say it's going to take 10 years. Some of that is waiting for market timing, right?
Can be.
It can be a thing. But foot off the gas and letting this, kind of gel a little bit sometimes isn't a bad thing.
No.
And that doesn't necessarily mean quitting either, right?
Yeah, I think there's a infinite amount of solutions and approaches.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the reality is you don't have to execute as quickly as you think you probably do. Customers are still there. The problems are still there. I mean, even the AI stuff, like our customers are not like, we sell to marketers mostly. I mean, it's a kind of a sales end user tool, but it's marketers that buy our stuff. They're honestly like not that sophisticated with AI, right? Like the stuff we're doing internally is, like way above what they're doing internally for the most part. So and there's the arc of adoption is longer than you think it is, right? So, so there's flexibility in there to, right? I mean, everybody's in an individual situation, but
I think back to the root of the question, is it? I mean, burnout's real. Everybody experiences it. I don't care if you're in a big organization,
burnout's
big
real.
Corporation, small organization. If you're passionate, you're working as hard as you can, you're going to get to that point. question is, are you burned out, or have you reached the futility? Are you on a treadmill and you're doing the same thing and you're not getting anywhere? Or are you just working so hard that you're mentally exhausted?
Yeah.
You take a couple of days, even though you tell yourself you couldn't possibly spare a couple of days.
Yeah.
But you take a couple of days, does the world look clearer? Or do you feel like, shit, I get back on that treadmill, I'm going to get exactly the same result? So then it's a quit or pivot. Do I just need to stop? Have I tried everything? Or do I just need to pick a different avenue?
Yeah, and I think again, that's where there's like infinite choices.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so like coming out of when I started this company, one thing that I miss is like, I don't like just sitting with the executive team and it's like the output is decisions, right?
Or lack of.
Or lack of.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it's not really my jam to just do that exclusively. Like, I like teams, I like building teams, I like interfacing with people and stuff like that. But that really did not, like, it's not that rewarding. And so, doing what I liked was like kind of hands-on keyboard, like actually doing stuff was more, more rewarding, like for me personally. And so that was part of, again, also with the flexibility and stuff like that, that's part of the sort of origin of what I'm doing now. Like one of my co-founders at CrowdCompass like stayed on, but basically like dropped down to individual contributor level.
Okay.
Because again, they didn't want to do that other stuff, right? And so you get to a point where like you can make choices inside of the construct, right? To identify, like, do more of what you want to do.
Yeah. You made a comment early on in CrowdCompass or in Content Camel. When you were doing the beta, I used the beta out at whatever, and you talked about your technical view. You love doing shit on the cheap. You love finding ways. Yeah. You love finding really unorthodox.
I am that person.
Unorthodox
even in my
ways
personal life
to do things that other people do.
Yeah. Sure.
So, and then you also say fall in love with the problem, right? And so the market difference. You just have this great technology background of that, but then you also have this great market perspective. How did those two come together? Or were they always kind of there, or they kind of get?
No, they were not always there. I mean, I'm a technical person.
Yeah.
Yes, founder of CrowdCompass. It was my company. But I was the CTO. I recruited everybody else. Technical, traditionally technical, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
But you definitely quickly realize like there's no there unless you can get in front of an audience. Like go to market is everything.
Yeah.
It really is, and you have to get really good at it.
Right.
And so, I mean, the here's like, and I think here is also a fallacy. People outside of like the builder, because it's not just technical stuff, but like the maker, the builder, like what I've found is people don't just want to build stuff, make stuff ad nauseum. They want people to use it, enjoy it. They want it to have an impact, right? Like that is the game. Like that is like that is the whole. That is like the whole thing from a maker's perspective. Is like you want to have an impact. You want people to use the thing that you make, even if it's art. Like you want them to appreciate it, see it. You want visibility. You want it's not. People think like the nerds just want to like code and like nobody like with no sort of outlet, but it's like the impact and the usage is the outlet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
How do you amplify that? How do you make that? How do you connect those dots? It's the go-to-market stuff, right? Because no one wants to build something that nobody uses.
Yeah.
So
I think, and it's funny because we were talking about what's performative, right? And when we talk about go-to-market, I hear it all the time that someone will capitalize, they'll just bracket go-to-market. Well, we're going to do social. We're going to do, thought leadership or something else, right? And it just kind of becomes this checkbox. You mentioned getting down to the bedrock, going down to the messaging, right? That identifying when somebody asks you about go-to-market, to back up and say you're going to do social
Yeah,
social is vast.
Yeah. That's like some bullshit bullet point on a VC slide or something, or a pitch deck or whatever. You have to really, again, it comes down to that one-on-one interaction and how you're going to reach that person, and just bring your best thinking. I mean, there's all sorts of like jargon. There's jargon in every industry, right?
Sure.
Like there's gazillions of jargon, keywords, and all that stuff. You just have to bring your best thinking into how do you get into a position to have that one-on-one interaction.
I just want to amend on that. Like, I don't look at it as just doing social. I look at it as trying to build community.
Sure.
Community space makes everybody kind of accountable for each
other,
and often drives innovation in certain ways. You get new perspectives. So I don't know. That's just kind of a switch I had to make mentally. Is I'm not doing social media. I'm trying to grow my community.
Yeah, but even if you go many clicks down from that, like what is community? Why are you doing it there? Right? You're like, I'm targeting this group because they care about this thing, and I'm doing it on whatever Instagram or wherever, because the algorithms are going to help amplify, right, and increase the surface area for these people that care about this thing. I mean, do you know what I mean? You would be running billboards otherwise, right?
Right. But it's about motivation too, though, right? It's
But the
building up
motivation
that motivation
is,
to get you to do the social media to grow the community. So it's a different mindset, I guess.
Yeah. But I think there is an unfolding, right? If it were the layer of the onion, right, social media would be the onion, and then digging down into the heart of it, of the nuance of what makes those pieces work is the work. Yeah. Not just the slide.
Yeah. And then it's just it's just bring your best thinking. I really fundamentally believe if you stop, pause, don't just copy, repeat, parrot, bring your best thinking, break it all the way down.
If you're running like a lean solo ship, existence, and that go-to-market is valuable, how do you navigate?
It is the most valuable thing.
How do you navigate if your go-to-market strategy doesn't find the right market versus if your product isn't maybe the right product, right? At what point does should you abandon your product if you don't have the ability to endlessly test the market and find your group? Because we all definitely believe that there is a group of people out there that have our pain points, and at what point do you think that your market strategy, you believe in your product and you don't want to invest in finding those people, versus like when you do invest and maybe you don't get the data back that supports you? At what point do you kind of like bullheadedly say the market doesn't know what they're talking about?
No, the market doesn't know what they're talking about, because you have failed to meet the market, and there's no future.
But I think you talk about niches, right? And
so you should be able to reach those niches. You'll get feedback, like it can be you're all operating under your own set of constraints, like financially and time and whatever. And so subjectively, you'll know what the yield needs to be. Then there's this added layer behind that of business economics, right? Is it sustainable? So there's step zero is can you meet that niche, right? If you get 0% of zero, it's zero, right?
Sure.
If you can't connect with that niche, obviously that's zero. What I said earlier is data is messy and muddled, right? You'll get some connection. Maybe that'll plateau. Maybe that will be really too small, but it's up to you to define what that too small and the subjective nature of that, unfortunately. But you'll know, because you'd be like, I don't think this is working, because
I want to tag in on one other thing that you said, because it's a truism to say the market is never wrong, right? And then the reason the market is never wrong, that statement, is just to unpack. It's the flip side of the coin. If you don't have the money, time, resources, ability, message, or anything else to reach them, then you haven't proven a business that you can sustainably build. That's what makes it an experiment. And so we all want to be the kind of, Steve Jobs founder that wants to say, nobody wanted this. And if you ask, Henry Ford said, or what did he say? If we want to ask people what they would have wanted, they wouldn't have wanted a car, they would have wanted faster horses, right? And so there's this ideology that we kind of pound into people. But the experiment of a startup is to reach those people. And if you can't, then there's not something that you can build. Doesn't mean you're not right or wrong. It means the business can't do it right now.
But you hit on it. It was a trigger. It's finding that need and then triggering it. And if you're not finding the trigger, either your message is wrong, your product is wrong, or both.
Yep.
And then you need to go back and pivot. Because if you feel like you've got a product and you're not finding a market, then you've done it backwards, right? Which is not uncommon. Lots of people do it that way. It's a solution looking for the problem.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, this is what I mean about staying in the game. If you're out there, you're putting yourself out there, and you're doing the things, like the more is more thing, right? And you're putting yourself in a position to have the conversations. And if you're having unbiased conversations, and you continue down that path, people will show up. And if you are open enough, people will tell you what they want, right? That is the very nature of the pivot, right? Yeah. From my perspective. It's like, you have this thesis, you go execute on it. Maybe those people will show up, but maybe somebody else will show up, And then maybe you should serve those people because you're effective at attracting them, right? I mean, yeah.
Cool. We're 10 minutes till. I want to give people some time to do this. But Dave, amazing. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for coming out. Like I said, this has been phenomenal. Your journey has been great, and you're back in the game, which I think is really cool.
I was going to say, did you ever get out?
I didn't.
No.
Like, newsflash, I don't think I ever left the game. I don't know. I mean,
don't call it a comeback.
That's true.
That's right.
No, there's a lot of founders that have had exits. There's a lot of founders that we've kind of lost to their island in the Bahamas and like you said, you haven't ever left, and I think that says a lot about your tenacity and just your kind of love for building, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Or just haven't got a big enough exit yet.
No, unfortunately, I would still be doing this, even with all the any big exit. I would still be doing this.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
That's great, Dave. It's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Sure.